All right, we're back. We are back.
Welcome to another edition of Live Feed Reed. I'm Paul Reed, your host, with the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, Jason Crawford, and we have a couple of special guests. Jason,
Yes,
why don't you introduce our special guest for today's show?
I'm happy
Airing
to.
also live from Tallahassee, Florida.
That's right, just a couple of feet away. These are my two oldest daughters.
Mhm.
So Aurora is my oldest; she's 15, and
And
Aerith
oh,
is
she's
mine.
15 now.
Yeah, man,
Oh,
it's just. And Aerith is she's 13, so she's my next oldest. And they were having an interesting conversation the other day in the car. I think it was in the car. And I was like, we could Google it, or we could ask Uncle Paul, because I'm pretty sure he knows all of these questions you're asking.
Oh,
So,
that's a heck of a setup. Girls, say hi to TV land.
Hi.
All right. So what? You guys have some questions about the law?
Yes, I
All
was
right. Who wants to go first?
me.
All right. Introduce yourself and say hi to the world.
Hi, I'm Aurora. And I was wondering,
Okay.
why we need a judge if we have a jury?
That's a good question. And there are two types of trials. You can have it's called a bench trial and a jury trial. Everyone knows what the jury trial is. That's where you have 6 people or 12 people or however many people that sit in the box, listen to the evidence, listen to the lawyers, and then go back in that room and decide if it's a criminal case, whether someone's guilty or not. And if it's a civil case like a car wreck, whether someone's entitled to money. That's one type of trial. The other is called a bench trial, Bench. A bench trial is where both sides, they don't want to have a jury trial or a jury determine either guilt or innocence and whether someone's entitled to money. So they ask a judge to do it. And they're in criminal law and in like a family law, which are divorces and things of that nature, there's a lot of bench trials. It's faster, more economical, and some people don't want to leave it up to a jury to decide their fate. Now, let's say you have a jury trial. What does the judge do, right? Well, he will instruct the jury on what the law is and how they're supposed to apply that law to the facts. And then let's just say I'm up there and you're on the stand as a witness and I'm asking you questions, right? And let's say I ask you a question that's probably not a proper question, meaning it's not something I should have asked you, and the jury shouldn't hear it or allow
mm,
or hear your answer. Jason, as the other lawyer, will say, "Objection, Your Honor," and he'll give a reason why he thinks that question was improper.
yeah,
Well, the judge will then decide, well, sustained, meaning I agree with Jason, Mr. Reed, don't ask that question and witness, don't answer it, or he'll say overruled, go ahead and answer the question. So the
interesting.
judge kind of does two things. He instructs the jury on the law, and then he decides what evidence can come into uh, come into what information can come in as evidence and what cannot. And so that's what he does. Now, he does not decide whether if you have a jury trial, whether you're innocent or guilty, or whether it's a car wreck and whether you should get money. If you have a jury, he just tells the jury what the law is and the facts or how the evidence should be applied. And then he keeps evidence that shouldn't come into court out. That's kind of what he does, which is important because believe me, if there wasn't a judge and there's just a jury, there would be a lot of things said that are just not appropriate. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say I'm talking to the jury at the end of the case. I can't say, "Look, I want you to put you in my client's shoes." You can't ask the jury to do that. You can't say, "Well, listen, I want you to pretend like you're my client and you went through all of this."
Mm,
Well, the judge would say, "No, no, 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 Mr. Reed, you cannot do that." That would be one thing
Yeah.
that he would prevent.
So a
Let's
yellow card or a red card in our World Cup
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
moment. Yeah.
Also, let's just say you wanted you're the witness. You say, "Well, uh, my sister told me that this is what happened,
Mm.
but you didn't see." Let's say you didn't see the car wreck, but your sister told you what happened. Well, Jason, and I want to tell the jury through you what your sister said. Well, that would
Mm.
be hearsay. So the judge would say, no, if you want your sister to come in and testify, she can sit here and tell her what she saw, but you can't
Right.
say what she said. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what the judge does.
Yeah.
It's called rules of evidence, and he makes sure the lawyers follow them.
So he's kind of like a referee of
Kind
sorts.
of, yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Because trust
Offsides, foul
me,
ball.
without that judge,
Yeah.
you would want to say and do things that are totally violate the rules of evidence.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example when you're watching TV. Now, TV is not a good example, but let's say the lawyer says something and then the other lawyer freaks out. And before the judge even says either subject, the lawyer says, oh, I withdraw it. Well, you already said it. The jury already heard it. You know it wasn't a proper question or statement. And so you
Yeah.
just withdraw it.
Yeah.
And because the old saying, you can't unhear something.
Unhear. Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
you got to be careful because then the judge can spank you and fine you and things like that. But that's what the judge does. Sometimes he's the jury, basically, and sometimes he's just the referee that decides what a jury can hear and what they can't hear. Good question.
It's a great question. Yeah.
That is a good question. Wow, right out of the gate.
Now you see what my car rides are like.
Yeah,
when,
yeah.
when I'm like, we're calling Paul.
All right, who's up?
I was wondering, does a jury decide the punishment?
Yes, in a criminal case, if it's a death penalty case, the jury decides whether the person's going to be put to death or and if it's a murder case, will decide whether they get life in prison without parole. Other than that, the judge kind of decides the punishment.
Yeah, I think in the car, the conversation was centered around, does the jury make a recommendation and then the judge makes the final, or does the jury make the decision versus
on
the
death
judge?
penalty cases, it's the jury.
Okay.
In fact, Florida operated where the jury made recommendations on the death penalty, and then the judge ultimately decided. And the big Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, said no. The jury has to decide. And interestingly enough, some states, let's say there's 12 people, that's about on death penalty. Some have to be unanimous, meaning all 12 people have to say whether or not the person should be put to death. Well, I don't even know if you guys were born, but a few or several years ago, the Parkland High School shooter went in and killed a bunch of people down south, and somebody on there, one or two people, just couldn't put the young lad to death, and so they gave him life without parole. Well, the governor and some of the other people in power did not like that. So now in Florida, it doesn't have to be unanimous. I think it's either 9 out of 12 or 10 out of 12, but they're not going to let that one, you hate to see it, that one person that,
Is that what they call a hung jury? Is that?
No.
That's different. That's
Yeah,
different.
that's different. This is
Okay.
just in death cases,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be unanimous in Florida where it used to be, but the jury still decides. But I forget if it's 8 of them or 9 of them, but it used to be unanimous. And like example, theoretically, if you're Catholic, you don't believe in killing people, which you shouldn't believe in killing people. But so therefore, if you had a Catholic on the jury, they might say, "Look, I get it. It was a horrendous crime. Should he be killed? Yes, but my religion says I just can't do it."
Right. Okay.
Which not criticizing, but if you have somebody that feels, yeah, well, he probably deserves to die, but it goes against my religion, and so they say, okay, and therefore the person would get life without parole. Well, now you can have one of those two people, and the guy can still, or girl can still get the death penalty.
And what about, because you were talking about a different type of case? What about for your cases, personal injury,
Oh no, the
car
jury decides
crash?
how much money you get.
Okay,
Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah, if it's a car crash, dog bite, then the jury decides how much money you get, if any.
and the judge would probably instruct them
Oh
on what
yeah,
the
there are
boundaries
there are
are. Or,
jury instructions.
yeah,
At the end of the case, he'll sit there and it takes about 30 minutes, and he'll read the instructions to the jury, and then they'll go back and decide what to do with your case.
there you go.
Yeah. What else? That's a good one too.
So how do you fix it if they get it wrong? Like if they decide that someone is guilty and they punish them and then find new evidence like years later?
Well, that's a stinker. That's tough. Um, there's a way to do that. First off, if you think the judge did something wrong, either let in evidence that shouldn't have come in,
Hmm.
or didn't let in evidence that should have come in or shouldn't have, then what you do is, and this is what I talk about a lot on this show, you file an appeal. And so there's the judge that hears the trial case. Then there are judges called appellate court judges that will decide whether or not the trial court basically made a mistake.
Mm.
As far as new evidence, that's pretty tough, because the theory is you had plenty of time to find whatever evidence you were going to use, and you should have found it, or you should have used it. So newly discovered evidence is difficult. What you'll find as you get older in the death penalty cases, that comes up a lot, especially, let's just say, which happens, believe it or not, somebody killed somebody or was accused of killing somebody and convicted of killing somebody 40 years ago, 50
Mm.
years ago. Believe me, some of them are still on death row. They've been there that long. Well, DNA, is like your blood. It tells someone who you are, like a fingerprint. Every fingerprint is different. So if you put that on there and they find your fingerprint on a soda glass, it's only you. There's 8 billion people in the world. It's like a snowflake.
Yeah.
There's no two snowflakes that are the same. Same with your fingerprint and same with your DNA, which is your blood. What happens back 50 years ago, the testing wasn't very good. It just wasn't as good as it is now. Almost like a microwave oven. They didn't even have them back then.
Yeah.
Now they have them, and they get better and better with technology. So there's literally a case right now where they were going to execute a guy last month. And he said, look, there's DNA evidence found on the victim, the dead person, that's not mine. And now the science is so much better that they can test it now. And so I forget, the guy must have been somebody. I was like, no,
Yeah.
but what they said is okay, right? Okay, and they don't always, just because you say there's DNA evidence, they don't always do it.
Yeah.
But whatever the facts were, they said, okay, test it. Well, they tested it. Inconclusive.
Oh man.
So it didn't say one way or the other. So then
Yeah.
they said it's called the death warrant. They started the clock again. And he says, well, hold on a second. That was the state of Florida's laboratory. They're no good. They're a bunch of schmoes. I want my
Florida
own
man runs DNA
laboratory.
test.
I want my own laboratory who is much more sophisticated testing materials to do it. And they said, okay. So there's a guy on death row praying and hoping, I'm sure daily,
Wow.
that this other laboratory can come up with results that are different than the states.
Wow.
But and leading this. So let's just say, this is back to what a judge and how powerful they are. Let's just say you're convicted, or you're accused of a crime. And for whatever reason, maybe one lawyer was better than the other, which happens. And the one lawyer has a jury convict you because he's just better It happens. Like anything, there are better baseball players than other baseball players. There are smarter kids, and so this lawyer was able to convince the jury that you're guilty. Well, the judge can say, well, yeah, I know you said he's guilty, but I also watched the trial. I also have reviewed the evidence, and he's not guilty. Now, that doesn't
Interesting.
happen much. It's called a JNOV, judgment notwithstanding the verdict. Doesn't happen much, but it can. That's
Okay.
why a judge is important. He's kind of and again, let me just say, it doesn't happen much, but he's kind of like the backstop. If the jury gets it wrong, he has the ability to say, you got it wrong. There wasn't enough evidence. And I can tell you that poor son of a gun sitting at the table that thought he was guilty, and 5 minutes later he's not guilty. He better be in church regularly, because
That's
that
right.
doesn't happen much. I mean,
Yeah.
like 1 in 1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, if that. But
Wow.
anyway, okay. What else you got? So far, so good.
So the other day, both my mom and my grandma got summoned for jury duty. And my grandma got summoned for like the county clerk of the circuit court. And my mom got one from the United States District Court. And I was wondering what
Ooh.
the difference was.
Okay, so there's the state of Florida, right?
Mhm.
And the state of Florida has its own laws, right? And its own court system. Okay, and that's where the great majority of all of these cases are heard in a court, a Florida court. So that would be your grandma, right? She was the one in the county. Okay, the federal court also has its own rules, okay, and its own laws, and then your mom would go to the federal court building in front of a federal judge, and the rules are different.
Hmm.
The judges have unbelievable power. They're appointed for life, and they basically have to be impeached by like the president. Whereas
Wow.
the state court judges, we elect them every 6 years, and so and I can tell you, if it's a criminal case, that's Ryan. What an idiot. He's doing an ice cube at me. If it's a criminal case, it's usually much more serious. By
Okay.
way of example, um, when we went down to Venezuela or Colombia, and we snatched up their USA, USA,
USA.
USA.
USA. Ah.
Pardon the interruption, ladies and gentlemen. But that president that we went snatched and brought down here, he'll be in a federal court. That would be something your mom could do. Bank robberies.
Wow.
If you rob a bank, that's federal court because you're violating a federal law.
Okay.
If you transport someone, let's a kidnapping, say, you transport someone from Georgia to Florida, that would be federal. That's called a
Ooh.
so the federal courts are typically way more serious cases. Not always, because there's nothing more serious than a death penalty case, but
Sure.
it's just it's just a different. I don't like federal court, but in my world, which is the plaintiffs where people are hurt, you say federal courts where my case goes to die.
Mm.
They don't like it.
They don't.
It's a terrible venue is the term for plaintiffs lawyers, and we don't like to play there
Interesting.
at all, ever.
Yeah.
Never want to be there. Now I'm licensed to practice I'm licensed to practice in federal court in the state court, but if I never have to again, I'm okay with it. And that's a good question. Your county court, like your grandma, right? What county are you guys in? Leon?
Leon. Yep.
So the people on her jury have to live in Leon County.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On your mom's, the federal, it could be 5 or 6 counties where they pull from. So you have a much wider, diverse group of people. And I'll give you another example. Like in Hillsborough County, we're kind of like purple. We got Democrats, we've got Republicans, and it's a mix.
Yep.
Okay. But in Polk County, which is the next county over, and Pasco County, and the farther you get away from the big city, so to speak, they're much more conservative, meaning they're basically more Republican, more red, and it's much harder in my case to get them to give money. Okay, so then you don't really know which 12 people you're going to get because they're coming from 5 or 6 counties, which makes it extremely difficult because like if it's over here in this part of the county, I kind of know what I'm going to be dealing with. If it's over in New Tampa, I kind of know what I'm going to be dealing with. If it's over in Carrollwood, but if I have to pull from Pasco, Polk, Pinellas, Manatee, and Hillsborough, I have no clue what I'm going to be dealing with.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah, but that's it. Okay, so that's a good one as well. And your federal court cases, you might say bye to your mama. She could be there for a year.
Oh my
Whoa.
They
word.
can last a very long time. State courts are typically days, maybe a week or a couple. Now, a tobacco case can last a couple of months, but federal courts, they can last a long time. And in federal court, depending on how big the case is, they can sequester the jury, meaning you got to go to a hotel, you don't go home.
You don't get to talk to anybody. Yeah.
You can't watch the news, you don't get your cell
Nothing.
phone, you don't get a computer.
Yep.
And an example of that was the O.J. Simpson. Those
Yep.
people were sequestered, meaning kept away from everybody for 9 months.
Aurora's face right now.
So, bye, Mom. All right.
Yeah.
Got others?
Yeah, can you sue a judge?
No, not really. They have what's called, like, we have the Florida Bar, and that's the organization that basically would discipline lawyers. Well, the judge, it also can be disciplined by the Florida Bar, but it's called the Judicial Qualifications Committee. So you can lodge a complaint, which is a division of the Florida Bar. You can lodge a complaint against them if you think they did something wrong, which happens, and they can be removed from office, which happens. In fact, literally a good friend of mine, I'm not going to say who, was removed from office because of things she allegedly said while running for office. There are, when you're running for judge, there are rules that you have to abide by. Things you can say, things you cannot say.
Yeah.
And evidently they found she said things and posted things on the internet. He or she posted things on the internet and said things that he or she wasn't supposed to. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you can't like
Very
sue them because they have judicial immunity on almost everything. But they can still get in trouble. I think there was a judge up in Michigan or one of those blue states, the liberal states up there, where the immigration wanted the individual that was in front of her. This was a her, and she snuck him out the back door of the courtroom, and so the ICE couldn't get him. Didn't go well for her. I think they charged her with a crime, obstructing justice. So she could, and you can Google it. I don't know what's happened, because I don't really care what happens up in blue states, but
Florida. Let's
she
go.
could go to jail.
Yeah.
For violating federal law.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she dodged a bullet because we have an infant. So she was she's still nursing and all that. So she was like, well, I can't really do that. And so there's a I don't want to call it a get out of jail free card, but there's
when you receive that document,
excused.
Yeah, in fact, I got one a long time ago. Okay, and so I basically attached a sheet of paper that said, here, I'm a lawyer, and this during this time period that I'm supposed to show up, this is all I have to do: depositions, mediations, this, that, and the other. And then I've never gotten another one. They'd probably just deleted me from the system. But if you're of a certain age, you can get out of it. If you're a felon, you can't serve on a jury. And just there are certain things you can do.
Well,
But
Grandma got out of hers,
for
but
those
not
out,
because she was a felon. So we'll just
yeah.
keep.
Well, for
Well,
those out there in TV world, there are certain things, even if you have to go, that you can say that will get you out. Example, if it's a criminal case, well, if the cops arrested him, he must be guilty. Well, thank you for coming. Go home.
they won't pick you.
Yeah, they won't pick you. Or even, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. If the cops arrested him, he must have done something wrong. Thank you. Have a nice day. And if you're
Yeah.
on a jury trial for money, my uncle's a plaintiff's lawyer, and I hate the insurance industry. So I'll give him $1 billion. Thank you. Have a nice day. So, but either way,
Those are
I
good.
think it would be interesting if you
Yeah.
could get on a jury, maybe for a week. Would you want to be on one for months? No, but it would be interesting. But I'll never get the opportunity.
Hmm.
All
All
right,
right.
good, good. What else?
Anything left in the tank?
Um, can you? I'm assuming the answer is no. But one of my other questions was if you could sue a jury.
No, they have immunity, but once again, they can get in trouble as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are rules. The judge. That's part of what the judge does. He says, "Okay, look, the only evidence you can consider is what you hear in this courtroom. Do not go home and get on your computer and start searching for this case and what the news says about this case and what I've not allowed to come in or allowed to come in and things of that nature. So you can get in trouble. You can be charged with a crime. And I'll give you an example. There's that guy Mangione. He's accused of shooting
CEO.
The CEO of United Healthcare.
Right.
There's been all kinds of rulings from the judge. Ryan's an idiot. He's outside. USA. There's all kinds of rulings of what the jury can and can't hear. Well, if you're
Yes.
on that jury and you go home and you Google him and say, what does the judge not allow? Well, you'll see all kinds of things that you probably weren't, not you probably, you weren't supposed to see or hear
Yeah.
based on the judge's rulings.
Yeah.
Well, but now you've heard it all. That may very well influence how you vote when it comes that time. And here and the kicker is what people don't understand, and that's probably the best question you've asked. Last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a case in Texas where a 17-year-old black kid stabbed a white kid at a track meet. Okay, and they found him guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't know what happened in that trial, what these people heard or didn't hear,
Mm-hmm.
and how and why they voted the way they did. Well, if you just hear these stupid phones and listen to social media and the newspaper and TV
Mm-hmm.
and hear all these things, first off, you don't even know if it's true,
Right.
especially social media and that internet Satan that it is. And so it can, these people are criticizing them. Oh, you did this, you did that. Well, you have no idea unless you sat in that courtroom for the week or 2 weeks what they heard.
Yeah.
What you've heard is 99% is this crap.
Yeah. Your
But-
echo chamber.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they heard any of that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a jury, yeah, you can get in trouble. You can't get sued, but you can go to jail. Because think about it.
Mm.
The state of Florida or the two lawyers in a civil case can spend hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of dollars. I think O.J. Simpson trial was in the millions of dollars, right?
Wow.
And 9 months go by. And now you're a jury and you didn't listen to the judge and you didn't listen to the rules. And now the whole case has to be tried again.
Mm.
Well,
Mm.
I put you in prison too.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's not do whatever you want because I'm a jury, but you can't really sue them. You can just question question them about what they did, why they did it, and things of that nature. But even that, in the scheme of this business, is once in a blue moon.
Interesting. Great questions, and thank you for such thorough answers. That just really good. This is one of the things I love about homeschooling is being able to take our kids and get them into people who know their different fields and give them the experience that way
Oh, that's
versus
cool.
textbooks because you've lived it, and that's great. So thank you.
He and Mr. Peanut lived it.
That's right.
Well, before your dad cut you off, you got any more? Or is that it?
Um,
Because
I
he's rude.
so what was your greatest challenge when you were becoming a lawyer? And what would you do it again?
Well, yeah, I'd do it again. Yeah, to me, it's the greatest profession ever. My greatest challenge, um, well, that's a tough one.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when I graduated from law school, it was in the summer, July. So the Florida bar is in July and February. So it's only two times a year. I missed the July one because I did, instead of 3 years, I did law school in 2.5, but I missed the test. So from July to February, I didn't have any money. So I was living with my mom and Stinger, my stepdad. And so I literally studied 6 days a week, about 10 hours a day from July to February and I went to USF because I love my mom and she's probably listening, but I needed to be somewhere else. And so the Florida bar, in fact, on the second day, it's a 2-day test. It was down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. On day 2, there was still an hour left in the exam. I was gone. That's how prepared I was. I'm like, I'm done. I probably had, well, not that you should drink and drive, but theoretically, I might have had about a 6-pack before I even got to Naples on Alligator Alley because I was so excited and these people were still struggling. So I was gone. So the bar was easy. School
Because
is
you're
not as
prepared.
hard as you think. It's the first semester because you're scared and you don't. It's like a different language is hard. But after the first semester, it's not hard. It's just putting in your time.
Mm.
The greatest challenge, gosh, I would have to say opening up Reed and Reed. So on
Mm.
October 1st of 2013, I think I'd been a lawyer a little less than 20 years. Okay. Ryan had gone to Jesuit and did well, University of Florida did well, and then went to law school and did well, and he had graduated. So it was time. That was always our goal. But I was making a couple of $100,000 a year, which may or may not seem like a lot of money, but certainly it was decent amount of money back in the day for an associate lawyer. So I had to quit making money and start the firm, with a few cases and no money. And I
Yeah.
remember sitting there and we were at my buddy's Bob Welland's office, and it was just like a flat, meaning my desk was on one side of the room, Ryan's desk was on the other, and that was our office. And I remember sitting there like, what did you do? What in the world did you do? Because the mail, it was just on the floor, sorted out, and Ryan didn't know anything, and we had no money. We didn't even get paid, I think, for 6 months. So, but I will say, thank you, Jesus, through prayer and hard work and divinity, we were doing just fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
But
awesome.
that was probably the most difficult thing in my profession because it was scary.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
if it don't work, well, oof. But it did, like I said. But and again, thank you, Jesus. But that was it. I mean, the law school, actually it was fun, too much fun. The Florida bar, if you study like anything, especially if you study 7 or 8 months, you're gonna do fine. The law itself, it kind of takes care of itself. It's scary, you don't know anything, but you learn it. And so the most challenging was definitely opening up Reed and Reed, no doubt about it.
Well, girls, what do you think?
Anything else?
Nope. No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you, those were like really two good questions because I could answer them. I'm glad you didn't ask me anything I couldn't answer. But
Yeah.
those are good questions. Okay. Well, then let's see. Happy birthday, Mom. How old's Mom?
42.
No,
More.
she's young. And then Father's Day, you guys doing something for the old man over there?
Yeah, kind of. I'm going to take them to a Magic the Gathering tournament tonight and let them all play and have fun and watch them
What about
smile.
dinner?
And
Hot dogs, hamburgers?
pizza.
Well, you mean for Sunday, though?
Oh, nah, we don't. Nah.
No.
I'm dad, man. I don't need all that. I'm good. I enjoy my kids watching them smile and laugh.
I'm going to cook myself a roast in the crock pot.
Yeah, sounds great.
Oh, I know. Onions and carrots. And
Yeah.
celery.
Yeah. That's good.
Me and Millie and Bailey.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
then, all right, 138.
Yeah.
Then I cannot believe how big you guys are. It's just unbelievable. Oh, and then Jason, take us off, but stay on at least because
Okay.
I want to figure out you guys are coming to town. And
Yeah.
I've made some plans now, so I don't recall your dates. Maybe I'll see you, hopefully, but I just don't know off the top of my head when you're coming.
Aerith, do you want to tell them what you told me before we jumped on about your popsicle?
Oh, yeah, I was telling Daddy that I was eating a popsicle the other day, and it made me think of like the 4th of July parties that you used to have.
Yeah, those were fun. Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah,
they were hot.
They were thinking. They were, yeah.
But yeah, no, they were fun. And then COVID put a kibosh to all that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
if you come down, I got a big house and a swimming pool. And Bailey, the red demon, I don't think you've seen her, but she loves to swim. You throw the ball, she'll chase it until she sinks to the bottom, being tired. So we'll see. I just don't know when you guys. Jason, when are you coming?
Yeah. We'll figure it out. July 18th is where we'll be down at the
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Homeschool Conference. Yeah.
And that's Saturday.
Yes.
I'll be in
Yes.
Las Vegas.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's all good. It's
How
all
long are you
good.
gonna, when do you go back home?
We don't have a set date that we have to go
I'll
back.
be back Sunday.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
All right.
maybe we'll stick around a little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, take us out.
You got it. Here we.
Reed and
Oh.
Reed. It's like having a look.
There we go.
Reed and Reed. It's like having a lawyer in the family.